What's up guys, this is Chris with Half Chrome. Today we're going to dive deep on the DJI Mini 2. We're going to tell you all the things you should be aware of before you go ahead and buy this. Why you might want to think about upgrades. I'm going to break down 15 limitations of this drone. I know that's a big number. Don't get me wrong, we do love this drone. Those 15 items are going to break down into 5 different items in 3 categories. The 3 categories are as follows. First, items in the software firmware that DJI intentionally withholds from this drone that could easily be included. We'll talk about why DJI does that. Next 5 items are going to be related to accessories, what comes with the drone, and things like the battery, the case, things like that, that still need to be improved in my opinion. Finally, I'm going to just tell you about 5 extra limitations, just things that go with having a drone this small and this inexpensive. DJI obviously trying to keep things cheap and really lightweight, and because of that, there's certain features that you're just not going to get in the Mini series. Alright guys, if you want to learn more what you should consider before you buy this, maybe think about an upgrade, stay tuned, I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Before I get started, let me just encourage you to subscribe. If you like unbiased opinions about your favorite products related to drones, this is the place to be. We bring live streams to you. We bring lots of high quality content. And again, like I said, unbiased. So if you like that, subscribe. All right, let's get right into it. Number 1 on my list is point of interest and spotlight mode. These are really nice modes that you get on the more expensive DJI drones, similar to modes that we see on other drones from Autel and Parrot that may not be at this lower price point. So we're not seeing these features. You're going to have to upgrade the next drone up in DJI's lineup, of course, the Mavic Air 2. The spotlight feature in particular for me is super nice. Able to just lock on, move your drone around, follow, lock onto an object. And for me, what's key is it's a GPS point. In the point of interest and spotlight modes, DJI doesn't rely so heavily on the vision tracking capabilities. There's a limit to how much artificial intelligence and tracking ability and how consistent that's going to be, and that's the limitation of the Mini 2. The GPS tracking capabilities of those modes are superb now, and so it is something you're going to be missing. You're going to have to get more creative and probably do a lot more iterations on more complex motions with the Mini 2. So those are probably the 2 things that I'm missing the most on this drone. Okay, sticking with software features that are missing, how about Active Track? Now DJI will probably tell you, or other people might tell you, that's not included because we don't have obstacle avoidance, and I'll get into obstacle avoidance later. But I don't really think so. You can do it. You could just pop a warning up on the screen and track moving objects. I think that's something they could have included here, and they're not doing it. We have $150, $200 drones that have some kind of follow me feature. It's been there on DJI products since the beginning, or largely the beginning. It's just something we feel should be on any drone from DJI. Even if they didn't include a true active track based on vision like the more expensive drones, at least they could have you follow the remote. That would be nice. Anyway, DJI's obstacle avoidance isn't that great. It's not super famous for being awesome, so you know, I think they could include it on here. Okay, let's talk camera options. So got some nice upgrades on the Mini 2 compared to the original, right? We've got raw photos now. We've got 3 exposure auto bracketing, so getting close to the capabilities of the more expensive drones in some ways. However, we are still missing hyperlight, which is a nice mode for getting rid of noise in dark situations. And more importantly, probably, we're missing HDR photos, which is just a nice way. So if you want to create that, the easiest way is to do it in post-processing. But that's a lot of work for your average consumer who's going to be interested in the low price of the Mini 2. So we'd love to see 5 exposure auto bracketing. We'd love to see the HDR built in. These are easy things to do in software. It can probably just be done remotely on your phone anyway. They're just not including that capability with the Mini 2. If you want that, go for the Air 2. Number 4 on the list, again related to the camera, this time in video. So DJI has really moved finally. I'd say they're a little behind the curve in really stunning video quality. You typically have to do some post-processing to really make your colors pop and things. We see, in my opinion, more impressive, more share-worthy video quality out of drones like the Typhoon H and the Autel drones. DJI really showed up with, I would say, the Mavic 2 Pro being the first one with the Hasselblad color profile and some really stunning colors. I would say it's there in the HDR video on the Mavic Air 2, which is one of our favorite features on that drone. Now you're going to get super crisp video out of this in 4K now. Even the original Mini's 2.7K was really fantastically sharp, but we'd love to see really nice color profiles show up here. Again, you're targeting consumers here, not prosumers. They want to have those most share-worthy videos right off the bat. Let's get those color profiles in here so people are sharing those videos, DJI. All right, final item in our software limitations intentionally withheld by DJI is Asteroid Mode. Kind of a silly one, not really used that much by professionals, but it's really cool. And it seems really optimized for the consumer market, which is right where this Mini should be located, right? That's where they're trying to pitch this drone to. So why withhold the Asteroid? We first saw it on the original Mavic Air. It's fun, it's cool, it creates these really wild looking shots. Let's get it in there. Why withhold it? This is just, nobody's really using it on the more expensive drones. Let's throw it on this little guy here for the consumers, please. All right, now moving into the second group of items, this would be numbers 6 through 10, accessories. First up and biggest bugaboo for me is the bag. I mean, why a bag? First of all, DJI is obsessed with bags. So obsessed that if you want to upgrade to a different way of holding and carrying your drone, on DJI is available another bag, a fashion bag. I mean, look at these guys. They hire these models to try to get you to buy a different bag that's going to be just as inconvenient as this thing. This kid here, I think he looked up from his Snapchat account just long enough to get this picture taken with a drone. I really don't think he's ever flown it. Why don't I like bags? I just like cases. They're so much easier to get things in and out of. They protect your product better. And surprisingly, actually, the original Mini's case is smaller than this. There's no real argument for compactness. You can make a better case. So are they trying to save money? I don't know. DJI just loves bags. I'm not a huge fan. Can we get a case or at least an upgrade option right on DJI's website? Just makes sense. Why have to wait for third parties to make a case? Number 2 on the accessory list is the remote. So we love this remote. This remote, we first saw basically an identical twin of this with the Air 2. This is a great remote, amazing transmission distance, big battery, and ability to charge your smartphone. So we like all that. It's also arguably a little easier to handle than the fold-out remotes on traditional DJI Mavic series drones. So here's the size comparison. So I'm not a super mini kind of compact guy. You know, I don't mind carrying around a little extra. It just seems like an odd choice to make the switch on a drone that's known for being miniature. So this thing weighs 390 grams. That's significantly more than the older style. This here's my Mavic 2 Zoom remote. So at 237 versus 390, this thing's creeping up on twice as heavy as this. And that's just hard for me to understand, right? If you're going to buy this, one of the attractive aspects of this drone is easy portability, right? It's going to be this one that I take to Mexico with me when we finally get back to air travel again. So I'd rather probably not lug around this remote. Number 3 on the accessory list is the battery. I don't really have any issues with this battery. It's better than the old one. It's lighter. It's got a little more energy in it, I think. But doesn't live up to the promise. So DJI is claiming this 30 plus minute flight time. You know, we just aren't seeing anywhere near that in our flight times. Now that's pretty standard from any drone manufacturer to kind of up the ante. You know, I don't know if they put a fan under the drone to keep it up that long, but we aren't seeing it. And I think it's worthy of mention here because it's probably the biggest overstatement in flight time that we've seen in the DJI lineup to date. Number 4 in the accessory column is the charging case. Don't get me wrong, I love this little thing. It's pretty sweet. What I don't understand is it seems like a missed opportunity still. We mentioned this in our video about the original Mini. These are small batteries, which means it doesn't take that much power to charge more than one battery at a time. But all they gave us was a USB-C this time input, and you know, that just limits how much juice you can get in there. So you can get a little 3-amp charger on there maybe. You know, I would like to see an option with another plug on here, an option to upgrade to a brick that can supply more juice, charge 2 to 3 batteries at a time. Imagine if you could get this thing, come home, you did a few flights, you come home and get this whole thing charged up in an hour, hour and a half. That would be pretty cool. Seems like a missed opportunity given the small size of these batteries. And heck, it's another upsell, DJI. You could sell more stuff. People would buy it. Last thing in the accessory category is the price, specifically of the Fly More combo. So now you're talking serious coin. Those numbers start to look a lot bigger when you talk about the Fly More package versus the base price of the drone, right? You get lured in with that base price, which doesn't really make sense to buy that. You know, if you look at adding up the batteries, it's just still easier to get the Fly More package, but it used to be a killer deal. So just be aware on this Mini 2, you're not getting as good of a deal. Still makes sense, but not as great of a deal. All right, so that was number 10 on the list. Let's move on to features you should be aware of that you're just never going to get on the Mini, in my opinion. You're going to have to go to a bigger, more expensive drone. All right, number 11 on the list, filters, right? If I want to filter on this guy, I'm going to have to clip it on. What that does is that adds weight to the front of the camera. As you can see in this example, if that thing isn't perfectly on, or even maybe if it is, it can induce vibrations in the camera. What makes a good gimbal is a well-balanced gimbal. That extra weight out in front causes the camera to move up and down as the vibrations from the drone telegraph through the gimbal. When it's perfectly balanced, it's not really an issue. How does DJI solve that on their other drones? Well, all the way from the Phantom lineup through the Mavic Pro and the Mavic Air, I can snap off or twist off those filters and put on a filter of roughly the same mass, same weight, and therefore I don't have those same risks of vibration and fuzzy video. So I don't anticipate you ever getting that. I think, you know, for cost reasons, size reasons, we're just not going to see that in the Mini lineup. Number 12, obstacle avoidance. So we think maybe DJI was going to stick a little obstacle avoidance on there. Honestly, I'm glad they didn't. We saw that on the Spark, some infrared stuff. You know, front obstacle avoidance, to me, it just gives more a false sense of security than anything. If it gave them an excuse to give us active track, I would say, great, more power to you, let's do it. But I'm not a huge fan of it. It wasn't great on the Spark, and I'm actually happier sometimes not having the thing beeping at me all the time. But just be aware, if you want obstacle avoidance to make you more comfortable, I think you're going to need to upgrade, and that's going to always be true. It costs money, it's processing power, it is weight, obviously, and so I don't see it coming on the Mini series. If it does, it's going to be tiny little IR sensors there, and they're not going to be very useful. Number 13, the Floppy Prop. So still a complaint over from the Mini, the original Mini that we put in that video as well. Not really that big of a deal. It's just kind of hard to handle this thing. Why don't I think that's ever going to change? Well, these props are small, which means they're short, they're light, and they don't develop the same kind of centrifugal force as the motor spin. So they're not going to self-straighten out the same way they will and can deal with the friction that's in the props connection to the motors on all the other DJI drones. So I think for the Mini series, we're always going to be stuck with these floppy props. DJI was nice enough to give us this prop handling doohickey this time around, so maybe they were listening. But it is kind of a pain to get on, and originally I was pretty skeptical that it added any value at all. Honestly, it takes me just as long to put that on as it is just to bundle up the props and shove it in the bag. Now my mind was changed when I wanted to get to my memory card or to change the battery, so I'm pulling it in and out of the bag and not just pulling it out to fly. There you will see major gains. Even with a case, those props can still get in the way all the time. So it is nice to have this. It doesn't really help you just going to fly. It doesn't really save time, but it does save time when you're pulling it in and out of the case over and over again, because once it's on, it's on. So DJI kind of solved that one. Okay, getting near the end, we're on item number 14, and we're running out of good ideas here. So here it is, though, wind performance. Just be aware, if you want to fly in heavy winds, I think the way to go, obviously, Phantom, Mavic 2 Pro, Mavic 2 Zoom, the bigger the better when it comes to flying in the wind. That being said, the Mini 2 is doing way better than the original Mini. If there's maybe one reason other than 4K and obviously transmission range to go for the Mini 2 over the Mini, I guess that'd be the number 3 reason, is going to be the wind errors, right? So we flew this thing right next to the original Mini over and over again, getting lots of wind errors on the original and rarely getting them in the Mini 2 on like a 10-mile-an-hour kind of day. So it is better, but be aware, if you really want to be able to fly in the most possible conditions, go for a bigger drone. All right, last on the list. If you're interested in flying a drone, taking pictures, and video in low light situations, this is probably not the drone for you. Obviously the best is going to be the Mavic 2 Pro for low light, and I'd say number 2, Mavic Air 2. Zoom also has a little bit better sensor and has the hyperlight capabilities at night as well. So just be aware, not your night flyer here, but still an awesome little drone. All right guys, that was 15 items. Normally we just do 10. I know I'm going to get criticism on some of these, but I'm trying to be upfront with you guys that this is a full list of limitations Not all really problems. At this point, there really aren't any problems with this drone. It's all about limitations to its size and limitations to the software that DJI imposes. I didn't really talk about why they do that. Why do I think they limit the software? It's because they can, right? We don't have competition in this space under $1,000. Autel's new drones over $1,000. Parrot dropped the Anafi, right? So we don't have an option there. Unique, they showed up with a little drone a while ago that I never even saw that thing. I don't even know if it made it to the American market. So with no competition, DJI doesn't need to add these features. They would just be competing with themselves at the higher price point drone. So unfortunately, we can't blame DJI. We can only blame the lack of competition, or maybe it's just DJI's ability to make awesome drones at a low price point. All right, guys, that wraps it up. If you are trying to make a drone decision, I hope this helped. The Air 2 is an awesome option as an upgrade if you got the coin to spend on that guy. Otherwise, the Mini 2 is a great choice. I think at this point, totally worth the upgrades compared to the original Mini. But if you want to save another 100, 150, 200 bucks, the Mini is still an awesome little drone. Still one of our favorites. And I think you're going to see both those drones on our list for quite some time, as long as DJI keeps making them.
Hey Chris, thanks for that. Love the Mini 2, quality little drone. So if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button and activate notifications so you don't miss any videos or upcoming live streams. So we also have a Patreon, and once a month we're giving away a free drone to a lucky Patreon subscriber. Don't forget about our website, halfchrome.com, where we have everything from photography to FPV. So if you're looking for more information on this drone or any drone, it's there for you. And make sure you check the video description down below, because we have links. They are affiliate links, and that's how you can help support this channel. At no cost to you, you get one of these awesome products, and it helps the channel out. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them down below. Did we get something wrong? Let us know. We'll catch you next time. Good luck and happy flying.